and I'm also farming. So,
Those are beautiful things.
so that is something that now
You're
I'm enjoying.
living la vida
And because
loca.
because of the fact that by farming I am actually working directly with those
The
guys.
community, yeah, exactly.
It has helped me to realize something. When we live in Kileleshwa, in Kilimani, in these spaces, we abstract so much of what poverty looks like. Because a lot of us
We
who
become
are
desensitized.
when you think about it, a lot of us who work in the development space, we do trips that are very well curated, right, to community activities, and even because they know that there's Mgeni coming, what do?
They wash up.
They wash up. They
Yeah.
clean up. They make sure that things are organized
They
and
are
stuff
well
like
arranged.
that.
Yeah,
It's just the same
paint,
way.
They almost paint up. They clean up basically.
You take all the normal nonsense and put
It's a
it
show.
behind there, and it's a show.
Yeah.
By living outside
You see
and living
raw.
with the village, and because of the fact that now I am working with them, I'm interacting with them at a completely different level.
You're able to understand the dynamics of lack of water, lack of access to health facilities. You know what that data that you're trying to help them count towards actually really means.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I'm pushing for. I'm pushing for us in the development space, especially because we care and because these are things that we truly care about. I'm saying let's get out of town.
Let's get out of the bubble.
Get out of Kilimani. If it is about schools, because majority of us are afraid about, we won't have good schools for our children. Either homeschool them or go make the school in the community better. If you, as MaqC, take your family and go to Nyandarua, or go to Kisii, Keroka somewhere, or go to Kilifi somewhere, and you find a school that is there, and your children are going to that school, you're going to use whatever networks and resources and abilities to make that school a better place. It will affect it because you're doing it for your children, but it will affect even those other children who are there.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And that's the goal. Why is it that we have no teachers? And teachers prefer to work in Nairobi for bad pay or bad terms. It's because of the fact that the schools over there can't pay them. But over there it's cheaper. A teacher will be able to live in a house. If you went to live in Marafa today, you live in a bigger house with a compound and you pay 8,000 shillings. 8,000 shillings is a 4x4 here in Nairobi. This is the thing that we have to do. We have to be able to go and create new opportunities out there. And it has to start with us in the development space because of the fact that we are dealing with those issues. And so that when we are discussing, when a woman is telling you, like one told me the other day, I said, do you have a small kitchen garden? He says, no, I don't. How much do you spend buying vegetables every day? 200 bob a day. How much do you make per day? 200 bob a day. How much do you spend on water? 20 shillings. How much water would it take to do a 3x3 box of amaranth, terere, what people call them chicha? How much water does it take? 1 jerrycan of 5 shillings. So why don't you plant them chicha, water it every day with 1 jerrycan of 5 shillings, and in a month or two, or actually in about a month, you'll be able to start eating your mchicha and stop buying vegetables, and people will be able to go back to the sufuria and it will cost you less. But I can't have that conversation from Kileleshwa. And I can't understand her dynamic until I'm there, until we've done that calculation, until she's seeing me farming over there and she's, oh, so it can work. Some of the guys who have been seeing what I am doing in the communities where I am farming now are able to say, oh, so it can work.
do it. Yeah.
So then a couple of them have picked the ideas and gone and done it.
Implemented at their place.
Shambas, and they are watering, and now they have food, and they're selling. So their neighbors are saying, so we can do this. And hopefully that spreads. So, but we can only bring those ideas when we talk about all these things about agriculture is a mainstay of whatever it is. We talk about, and when government talks about it, they talk about the large projects. I'm advocating that we go micro.
Yeah.
And start getting as many people as possible producing in the agricultural space and producing high quality stuff that they can sell locally. Then they can, as they grow, they can sell. You get. We have to go right back down to the community level and begin to work. But we cannot do it from Kilimani and Kileleshwa. We can't do it from Riverside. Many of us, literally, our circle is we come out to Kileleshwa, we go to our office on Riverside Drive, we go to a meeting in Westlands at Yayas and at Sarit Center. Then we have...
we hang out in Westlands or something.
We hang out at Westgate or at Gigiri, at Village Market, and it just repeats. When we go to the bar to have a gin and tonic or whatever it is, it tends to be in Hurlingham. It's in the same spot, like this. When we want to have a meeting, even with community people, we have them in these 5-star hotels. There is a problem, guy. I think that we need to start having meetings in social halls. Do you see what I mean?
I see.
I think that we need to start having... last month we had a meeting with young guys who do content creation. It was organized by the Lesi Trust, which is now the non-profit of the company that I chair. And the Lesi Trust organized a meeting with photographers and videographers and TikTokers and Instagrammers, people like that. And it was amazing to see the kind of talent that currently exists. And it was also amazing to see the kind of young people who did not know. They're neighbors. But this one is a TikToker. This one doesn't even know that they can be content creators with their phones and their smartphone. So they only use that smartphone to consume. Yet if they set up the YouTube page and say something that is useful to them, they too can be. Are you seeing?
Yeah.
But we are not opening those things because of the fact that we are not exposing. There's no cross-pollination.
Yeah.
The one thing that we do, especially in the development circles that we do, is that we have insulated our children so much. Because where do we take them to school? In that same bubble. So they don't get a chance to go to the rural areas and meet with these guys. When you meet somebody, you rub on each other. Some of them is left on you and some of you is left on them. We are not allowing this to happen. And that's a problem. When my son started farming, he started influencing older young people to start farming because of the fact that he's doing it because of the fact that he wanted pocket money, which I could have given, but I said, no, I'm not giving because there's a farm there, you can go and work if you want money. I'll buy, but I am not going to give you money. So he went and started farming, and he farmed and he has been selling. So these guys see that he has made 5,000 shillings. When they see that he has made 5,000 shillings, what do they say?
They're like motivated to
My goodness, you mean I can do it?
Yeah.
So they want to do it as well.
And he too is learning from them because
he's learning from them because they're teaching him all the techniques.
Yeah.
Because they have been having these techniques. Let me give you a real example. You plant a pawpaw tree. This is something I learned from the community, and it's probably
from
my last
Malindi.
story. You plant a pawpaw tree, and it grows up, and it reaches up to here, and it is a male tree, meaning that it produces flowers and it pollinates other trees, but it is a male tree, which means you'll never eat a pawpaw from it. I learned that the way to deal with it is you cut the crown where the leaves are, you cut that off, and then you stab the tree. See, this is the trunk. Just stab it and remove the knife and leave it alone. When it regenerates as a female tree that produces pawpaws.
Oh, wow.
Which book would I have read that in?
Oh, wow. That has had to come from a community person.
Yes.
Someone who's been regularly doing it, who's probably just learned it from, pass me down.
Let me tell you something amazing that I'm discovering. You know how when we go to our spaces, we buy herbal teas and green teas and hibiscus teas and so on and so forth. Hibiscus grows extremely well in Malindi, in Wote, in Makueni County, in Machakos. Hibiscus grows everywhere. We should be having plantations of hibiscus. Plantations. If you go to the supermarket today, we buy hibiscus from India.
At pricey. Very pricey.
The Mkilifi tree, which I told you earlier today.
Mkilifi, yeah.
Mkilifi tree is called the neem tree. If you go and you find that it produces oil that is a repellent for mosquitoes, it produces oil that is good for the hair, it produces medicine that is good for your body, that is good for blood pressure and all these things. We import neem medicine, we import neem oils, we import neem things, and yet they grow wild in Kilifi County. And the people in Kilifi County cut them for wood and charcoal because they don't know
what to do.
Imagine that we built, as development practitioners, imagine that we just built the capacity for those guys to begin to produce from those trees. In semi-arid places, aloe vera grows like weeds, like Kilifi, like Tana River. Why do we not have plantations of aloe vera? And why do we not have factories there? Yet we, in our bubble here, have access to those companies that could come and invest in those places. Why are we not doing it? So that then we can attract more people to go and farm.
Oh man. Oh wow. That's a challenge.
You find spices, you find basil, you find all those sort of things are already growing wild. There's a flower called the magnolia. No, it's called a marigold. It is great at removing it. If you want to do an organic farm, you plant a marigold on the edges of your vegetables, and all the pests will go to the marigold and not to your vegetables. This is stuff the community knows. But we are loading pesticides on our...
Oh man.
And imagine how beautiful our farms would be if we had acres upon acres of vegetables, and on the side we have yellow marigold growing.
Look at you becoming also, transitioning slowly and gradually into farming in an incredibly good way and educated way as well.
As I said, when you meet with somebody else, they
rub off very well.
So they're rubbing off on me as well.
Very well.
Because now they're teaching me these things, but a lot of them, they're teaching me these things. They're saying, we don't use these things, but this thing is actually a very good thing for attracting. So I say, why aren't you doing it?
So because of your exposure in the field and because of you being able just to bring your general understanding of life and what possibility looks like, you're able to pick all of this and say, hey, this can be turned into something great.
Now imagine if MaqC, if
a few others,
all the guys, if all the guys who are dealing in public health, if all the guys who are dealing in agriculture, if all these guys at least spent half the year in a house, in a home that is out there. In Nanyuki, in Muranga, in Wajir, in wherever, suddenly there will be ideas. Because when you go there, you go with your current knowledge and you go with the knowledge that you will receive there. There's going to be something different.
Thank you, Alkags. I am grateful that we had this nice, engaging conversation. Thank you for letting us into your life, into your past, into your present, also into the future, challenging us with a lot of calls for action, especially for those of us into the development space. The idea behind DDwithMaqC is to ensure that we are, with these conversations, also getting very important calls for action. We are changing the narrative. We are not leaving these conversations and remaining the same. So thank you very much. My regards to Liz and the kids. And this has been DDwithMaqC. I certainly hope you've engaged and enjoyed. And we'll be back for another season in a few days from now. Thank you.